Shout out to everybody. White House press secretary got some things to say. Let's listen to her and see what's going on. Shout out to her.
Just recently got off the phone with President Zelensky of Ukraine. His truth is as follows. I just spoke to President Zelensky of Ukraine. The conversation went very well. He, like President Putin, wants to make peace. We discussed a variety of topics having
Ooh, they're talking about peace. What y'all think about that? He wants to make peace. All right. We didn't really hear no talks like this under the Biden administration. Shout out to Froggy Megs. We didn't hear no talks like about peace under the Biden administration. We heard that Biden gave them authorization and launched long-range missiles into Russia. So Trump is seeming like that president of peace that everybody was fearing, right? Now Zelensky wants to talk. Interesting. You know why I think Zelensky wants to talk? Because Trump is not sitting with a battery in Zelensky's back telling him to do this and do that. Like, yo, we gonna let the chips fall how they lie. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, he needs that funding. He needs that money. He needs us to fight that proxy war. And right now, he see Trump doing a lot of budget cuts. So he like, wait, hold up. Let's, we might need to have them peace talks.
to do with the war, but mostly the meeting that is being set up on Friday in Munich, where Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio will lead the delegation. I am hopeful that the results of that meeting will be positive. It is time to stop this ridiculous war where there has been massive and totally unnecessary death and destruction. God bless the people of Russia and Ukraine. I myself...
Isn't that really crazy, though? Like, all of this can happen and all this devastation, everything can happen, right? But then all it takes is like two people. You know what I mean? They crew, you know what I mean? But two people to really just come to the table and be like, all right, let's stop. That is insane. That they can do all of this and then that. Interesting.
Just spoke to the president about
what's up, Draco?
These calls, and he told me to tell all of you they were very good calls. They were very positive, and the administration.
Yeah, Donna Wilkinson said, cut off his money, cut off his lifestyle. Yeah.
Is wholeheartedly committed to a peace deal to end once and for all the Russia-Ukraine war. More on that later. I'm sure you'll have more questions to ask. This week, the president has continued to deliver on his promises to the American people. According to new polling that was released at the beginning of this week by CBS News, an overwhelming 70% of Americans said that President Trump is following through on what he pledged to do during his historic campaign.
I mean, I don't think they can not say that. Like, within the past less than it hasn't even been a month. This dude has already done like 98% of all of his campaign promises. So it's like, you can't. So like, if you, the 30% of people that feel different worry me. Like, it's like they must be completely out of tune with everything that's going on in politics. Like, how are you a dissenter at this point when you're watching all of the executive orders and everything being passed? That makes absolutely no sense.
The poll also revealed that Americans see President Trump as a tough and
Donna Wilkinson says Zelensky dancing on yachts, buying mansions, Grammy Award show. He wanted to be rich. We don't know.
Energetic, focused, and effective leader fighting hard to improve their lives and our country. And yesterday, in particular, was a truly special day for the United States of America. Thanks to the great leadership of President Trump and the strong and tough leadership of President Trump, Mark Fogle, an American teacher detained by Russia, was returned to American soil and met with the president here at the White House last night. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and the rest of President Trump's incredible national security team helped to negotiate the exchange that secured Mark Fogle's release. This event shows a good faith effort from Russia, and it's a sign, as I just said, that we are moving in the right direction to end this brutal war.
Nice.
Malphine Fogle, Mark's 95-year-old mother, was understandably very worried that she would never see her son again after his arrest in 2021. Mrs. Fogle was actually slated to join President Trump on stage at the July 13th Butler, Pennsylvania.
Draco said them 30% of people that are dissenters are government employees and USAID. Hey, possibly, right?
In your rally to speak
Hit the
out
like button. Hit the like button, y'all.
for Mark. And then the
Double
infamous
tap the screen. Hit the emojis and all that. And I can see if y'all hit the emojis. Y'all don't be trying to play me. Don't be trying to play me. Hit the emojis.
assassination attempt against President Trump took place. But that day, before the rally, President Trump promised Mark's mother that when he returned to the White House, he would bring her son home. God saved President Trump's life on that day in Butler, Pennsylvania, and now Mark Fogle is back home safely with his family as a result.
Nice.
God is good.
Nice.
The president also continues to bring back common sense.
Somebody said, I'm not sold on Fogle. Like, wasn't he the one that saved Trump's life? She just said it. Why are you not sold on Fogle?
President Trump's life on that day in Butler, Pennsylvania, and now Mark Fogle is back home safely with his family as a result. God is good. The president also continues to bring back common sense to our government. This week, he signed an EO to end the procurement and forced use of paper straws. Taxpayer dollars were wasted on these non-functional and massively unpopular products for no...
Yeah, what they mean, like, saving his life? Like, hold up, like, I did hear some stuff about Mark Fogle. I ain't gonna even hold you, bro. Hold up, let me see some. Let me see. Mark Fogle greeted by Trump at the White House after being freed from Russia. With an American flag draped over his shoulders, Mark Fogle, the American teacher freed from a Russian prison, arrived at the White House on Tuesday night and was welcomed by President Donald Trump. Fogle, 63, had been serving a 14-year prison sentence in a Russian prison colony after being arrested in 2021 on drug charges. I am not a hero, Fogle said, addressing reporters from the White House. President Donald Trump is a hero. At times, overcome with emotion, Fogle thanked his family, including a 95-year-old mother who pleaded his case to Trump at a campaign rally last year. He also thanked Steve Witkoff, Trump's special Middle East envoy, who played a key role in negotiating Fogle's release. Fogle spent 3.5 years in prison before his release. He declined to describe his ordeal in specifics, as probably a condition of his release, saying every day was a challenge, but that he needed time to talk about it. He said he had received over 400 injections while in prison, but didn't say for what or provide further details. Oh, they was injecting him with stuff. Was they experimenting on dog? Trump did not discuss the negotiations that led to Fogle's release or describe any conversations with Russia President Vladimir Putin. Hey, they need to do like some kind of health check before bringing him back to America, because why is he getting like 400 injections? Like, what is going on, bro? I can only say this. We got a man home whose mother and family wanted him desperately, Trump said. He later added that he thought Fogle's return could advance negotiations to end the Russia-Ukraine war. I want to get the war ended, Trump said. Interesting. Earlier in the day, the president was asked if Russia had given the United States anything in return for Fogle's release, and he responded, not much, no. They were very nice. We were treated very nicely by Russia, actually. Adam Bowler, presidential envoy for hostage affairs, signaled that there will be an ongoing conversation between Russia and the United States. Interesting. He says, you won't see an exchange, Bowler said in an interview with CNN. I think you will see the president give consideration. If there are some nonviolent people where maybe there's no issue one way or the other, but you will not see one for one thing happening at any time soon. At the same time, said Mark's release is also reminded that other American citizens are still detained in America. So that is an interesting thing. President Trump is committed to bringing all of them home, Secretary of State Marco Rubio said in a statement. Bowler told CNN on Tuesday night that we had another American coming in tomorrow. We wouldn't comment on where the individual will be released from, but only saying, well, that's going to be a surprise for tomorrow. Interesting. So Fogle was arrested for drugs. All right, so Fogle was a teacher at an Anglo-American school in Moscow where many diplomats from the U.S. Embassy send their children. The father of two was arrested in August 2021 when he landed at a Moscow airport. He was accused of trying to bring in 11 grams of marijuana, and 8 grams of hash oil was reportedly found in his luggage. Bro, you bring in like weed in Russia, bro? Like, what is you thinking? It's hash, like, bro, what is you like? Bro, he wildin'. It says the Pennsylvania native was sentenced to 14 years on a drug smuggling charge. Jesus. For 11 grams? Yo, I thought that Brittany, what's her name? Brittany Renner, whatever her name was that they had. I thought they was kind of being a little bit crazy with her, but 11 grams? He's about to give him 14 years. He's actually sentenced to 14 years on the drug smuggling charge that his family has said was trumped up, and the United States had called for his humanitarian release. Former Secretary of State Antony Blinken said that the American teacher had been wrongfully detained in October 2024, the State Department confirmed to ABC News. The U.S. tried but was unable to include Fogle in the large prisoner swap in August 2024 that freed Wall Street Journal reporter Evan and former U.S. Marine Paul Whelan, a State Department spokesman said last year. Fogle told his mother in first phone call. Fogle managed to call his mother shortly before leaving Russia, his lawyer said. His mother, Malfine, told ABC News Live that her son called her unexpectedly from Moscow airport as he was waiting for his plane to D.C., calling it a beautiful shocker. It is unreal still. We've been awaiting for this time for a long time, she said. And when the news came over, it was unbelievable. We just can't wait to see Mark in person. And until we do, I guess it's not going to be real. So I don't know, bruh. Don't be bringing no, y'all don't be like bringing no stuff into Russia, bruh. Y'all kind of wildly, like y'all don't learn, like y'all can't be doing that. Somebody said we plus American get you 14 years in Russia. Yeah, bruh. It ain't that serious. Like, find someone you get out there if that's your thing. I don't do none of that. You know what I'm saying? But if you got it, bro, you fly. First of all, you got a problem if you're flying with that. You got to have some kind of balls, right? To go through, knowing you about to go to TSA? You about to go through the checkpoints, all of that, and you know that stuff be smelling. Unless maybe he put it in plastic wrap some Vaseline around it and all that, right? But it be smelling. So you got the gall to do that, and then you about to be on a plane, right? Airtight plane where the smallest of smells people can smell. And you about to take that to Russia? Are you crazy? Froggy said, ignorance is not a defense. I mean, lock him up. You got to know better, bruh. You got to know better. You can't do the, I'm a teacher. They don't care about that. Yeah, teach people in jail 14 years. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yo, they don't play, bro. But that's what they be talking about. Like how we talking about, like you hear Trump and them talking about they're bringing in fentanyl from different countries and all that. This is what they talk about in other countries. People are bringing in drugs from America. This is what they say. It's literally happening. Brittany Grinder, whatever her name is, she want to go ahead and bring some oil. Y'all got to stop wilding, bro. Donna Wilkinson said, screaming that you're an American only works here.
No other reason than it made radical activists.
Hold on. Oh, I got to crack a joke, right? Dude thinking he got the loud. They like, we got the Moscow. 14 years, dog. He is lucky Trump got him out, bro. If Biden was president, he'd still be up in there.
Feel good about themselves. And on trade, President Trump continues to take bold action to protect America's critical steel and aluminum industries, much like he did in his first term. And the president signed proclamations to close existing loopholes and exemptions to restore a true 25% tariff on steel and elevate the tariff on aluminum to 25% as well. This administration believes these tariffs will protect our national security and put American workers first. And in the Oval Office yesterday with Elon Musk, President Trump took further action to make our federal government more efficient and effective. He signed an EO implementing the Doge Workforce Optimization Initiative. Now agency heads will coordinate and consult with Doge to significantly shrink the size of the federal workforce and limit hiring to essential positions only. The unaccountable bureaucracy will finally be reined in. On another important matter this morning, Senate Republicans continued to confirm.
A Brubble said detain for baby oil. Hey, I actually wanted to go to Russia one day, but it's a good thing I don't do none of that. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. They make something up. Oh, you got a fitted cap, 12 years in jail. Like, I'm from America. 14 now.
President Trump
smuggling fitted caps in Russia.
Exceptionally qualified nominees, most recently Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, who will be joining us later at the White House for her swearing-in ceremony. It's imperative that the remainder of the president's cabinet nominees are confirmed as quickly as possible. On another important matter this week, illegal alien criminals continue to be arrested and sent home as part of the ongoing mass deportation effort of the Trump administration. Just this week, 2 planes with 190 Venezuelan illegal aliens arrived in the Venezuelan capital from Fort Bliss, Texas. Here are some of the criminal illegal aliens who were arrested in the country this past week. ICE Atlanta arrested a citizen of Nigeria who had been convicted of money laundering. ICE San Antonio arrested a citizen of Mexico who had been convicted of assault. ICE Denver arrested a citizen of Mexico who had been convicted of aggravated assault. And ICE Houston arrested a citizen of Mexico who had been convicted of aggravated assault. Now, before I take questions, I would like to address an extremely dishonest narrative that we've seen emerging over the past few days. Many outlets in this room have been fear-mongering the American people into believing there is a constitutional crisis taking place here at the White House. I've been hearing those words a lot lately. But in fact, the real constitutional crisis is taking place within our judicial branch, where district court judges in liberal districts across the country are abusing their power to unilaterally block President Trump's basic executive authority. We believe these judges are acting as judicial activists rather than honest arbiters of the law. And they have issued at least 12 injunctions against this administration.
I knew it was like 1 injunction. I didn't know it was 12 injunctions. Because remember, like Elizabeth Warren, we reacted to that, and she posted on her Twitter actually that they were successful for getting an injunction to stop the dismantling of USAID. So she's saying that there's been like 12 injunctions. So that's very, very interesting to hear. Like, these are, like, if you really think about it, y'all, you can classify these people as like activist judges. Kind of seems like it, really, for real.
Past 14.
And then why, like, if Donald Trump is running off of, okay, we want to clean up like Washington. We want to make sure people, you know what I mean, that we know where the money going. We want to make sure everything is solvent. You know, we don't want like overspending. We don't want our money just going to like corrupt organizations and all of that. And then you find out like that a branch, you know what I mean? Or like, you know, like what, like USAID, right? They just like throwing all of our money away. And then they're operating with impunity to where they don't even have to answer them, anybody. And so you try to dismantle it. And then you got a judge that you appointed, a federal judge you appointed, ends up stopping that. It's like, what is going on, bro? This is crazy.
Days, often without citing any evidence or grounds for their lawsuits. This is part of a larger concerted effort by Democrat activists and nothing more than the continuation of the weaponization of justice against President Trump.
He said thug life.
Quick news flash to these liberal judges who are supporting their obstructionist efforts. 77 million Americans voted to elect this president. And each injunction is an abuse of the rule of law and an attempt to thwart the will of the people.
I love that she just said that, the White House press secretary. Each injunction is a threat to the rule of law, right? Because you got 77 million people that voted for him. This is what she just said. So you're basically going against the American people. This is what you're doing. If he's doing exactly what he said he was going to do, like for the American people, and they voted for him, like, overwhelmingly, like it was, I mean, it wasn't like a Reagan sweep, but he did really good. I think he won, the election by like over 1 million votes. You know what I'm saying? So like the American people wanted him to do something. He's doing it. And then y'all want to put injunctions in place. It seems like you guys are like radicalized judges. It seems like it to me. You know what I mean? So if she's putting that title on y'all, saying that y'all y'all little radical judges. You know what I mean? It is what it is.
As the president clearly stated in the Oval Office yesterday, we will comply with the law in the courts, but we will also continue to seek every legal remedy to ultimately overturn these radical injunctions and ensure President Trump's policies can be enacted. So here in our new media seat today, we have Chris Pavlovsky, an entrepreneur who has a strong passion for protecting freedom of speech. Chris started the video sharing platform Rumble in 2013 with a mission of protecting a free and open...
Yo, he up there? I want to hear what he got to say.
Internet from censorship by big tech and governments around the globe. The platform has always been a place for independent creators to share their authentic opinions, and they have always included President Trump, in contrast to the way he was censored by other platforms in years past. Since its founding, Rumble has grown exponentially, recently marking 67 million monthly active users.
And shout out to Rumble too, because I had an issue. Remember, like during the election, like my social medias like came down, right? And Rumble was like, say what you want. I'm like, oh, dog, like I started a Rumble. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody was mad that I had like thousands of people saying that they were voting for Trump. People was mad. They didn't like that. But we got all that straightened out. But, Rumble, you can like kind of say what you want to say. So shout out to Rumble. Thug life. Rumble gets a special thug life.
It's a lot of users. If you're watching right now and interested in sitting in this seat, you can apply whitehouse.gov/new media. With that, I will take your questions. And Chris, why don't you kick us off on this very busy news day?
One of the great things about her too, right? As I do want to give her flowers. What is she, like 27 years old, like this is a tough job, White House press secretary. She got to have everything like lined out. She got to be ready for all questioning. Like a lot of this stuff is off the cuff. You know what I mean? And she's been like briefed on everything that's going on. She got to have a really good memory. Previous White House secretary didn't know nothing. She seems to be knowing what's going on. She's got a lot of, you know what I mean? Like excitement about her job. One thing that I love about her, right? Because she ended up putting out the link and saying like, you guys, if you want to, if you're a media channel, whatever, you cover politics, you can come up here. It's not just going to be for the major news networks. You can come up here, you can ask questions, you can be a part of this too. I love that she did that. And she didn't just say that. She didn't just put the link out. They had people like with regular like YouTube channels and stuff like that coming up there asking questions. She would do what she's doing now, right? Is that she would go ahead and introduce the person that's asking the question, familiarize like the public to who these people are. You know what I'm saying? Because, you might think in your own mind, like, yo, like I'm, I'm popular and I'm all that. But, people really may not know you, like people who follow politics a lot. They're like the upper 60s, 70 people, year-old people, some people in their 50s, you know what I mean? But she's like familiarizing those type of people with, new ways like news coverage, platforms and stuff like that. So I like that she does that. She doesn't just like, all right, what's your question? So that's fire and dope that she does that, because that would allow, all right, so somebody asks a question, she answers a question, and then they decide, okay, I'm about to go on my platform and talk about it. Now you know where to go to see what that person's opinion is of how she answered that question. You know what I'm saying? So that's pretty fire that she does this. So I do want to say shout out to Carolyn. I don't know how you say her last name, Levitt, like she's the White House press secretary, but let's get into this.
Carolyn, thank you very much.
First of all, I'm glazing a little bit. Her. Because I did fill out the thing for the White House thing. I did. I'm trying to get up there. I got some questions. I'm going to be up there with a fitted cap on. Like, hold up. How we going to fix all this stuff Biden did?
To you and President Trump, it's an honor to be sitting here in the new media seat for the White House press
Epstein list coming out soon, allegedly. Somebody just said that.
briefing and to be able to demonstrate why freedom of expression is so important. Rumble was the victim of censorship at the hands of multiple foreign governments. It's clear there are still many countries who oppose free speech and even target American companies.
I like that he's starting out talking about this, right? He said Rumble was a victim of censorship from like foreign governments, right? So I like that he's saying that. You know, he said it's still like some things going on. So we're going to keep up with the pace, because remember when Trump said, yo, all y'all trying to censor all these social media companies, y'all going to have a problem with me when I get elected. And then you get Mark Zuckerberg. He does the Joe Rogan interview, and he's explaining that the government has been trying to get him to take down memes and, you know what I mean, posts that had nothing to do with anything negative. You know what I'm saying? In terms of, you know what I mean, violations or something like that. Like nothing like that. But he was being bullied into taking those down. Mark Zuckerberg revealed that. You know, so when Trump got elected, I will say I could see on different social media platforms, like they're becoming a little bit, you know, less strict, you know, and they're a little bit more open for people having dialogue on things. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to that.
Can you describe what the administration will do to protect U.S. interests and values worldwide?
Sure. Well, thanks for the very important question. And I think that free speech and ending censorship, both here at home and also abroad, is an important part of President Trump's agenda. I think first, President Trump has led by example on this front as the leader of the free world, the president of the United States, with his show of access and transparency on a daily basis. The president takes questions from all of you almost every single day and really reveals what he's thinking and feeling. And I think that serves as a great example to the rest of the world.
That's good, too, like what she just said, like how, you know, Trump is just telling you like what he's thinking, telling you what he's doing, showing you him signing executive order. He's not doing nothing behind your back that we can see. Obviously, there's some things that the public should not be privy to, right? There's special meetings and things like that. Security clearance is needed, right? But by him doing that, also, like just showing you everything, like you can blog on it and talk about it, and it doesn't really fall into that like censorship category, because it's like he's saying it in front of you. You know what I mean? So it's like that also helps and aids with things too. So, you know, shout out to them. Shout out to Trump administration.
As for tangible actions that the president has signed, he did sign an executive order, I believe on day one, certainly within the first week of this administration, to restore free speech and stop government-sponsored censorship here at home. And the EO made it very clear that federal employees are not allowed to engage in any activity that would infringe upon the American people's right of free expression. So I think the president has...
That is amazing that she just said that. Nobody in the government agencies, whatever, should do anything to infringe on Americans' freedom of expression. That is fire.
Led quite strongly on this.
And if anybody should be like in favor of censorship, you think it would be Trump, because it's a lot of people with TDS, Trump derangement syndrome. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, they'll do anything or say anything and negative against him. But he's just like, hey, it's the internet, let it rock. Let people say what they want to say. And one of the people that have one of the most lenient platforms on social media platforms is Elon Musk. And we just seen him in the Oval Office yesterday. I mean, what more proof do you need? Joe Biden tried to eliminate TikTok. We seen it. You know what I'm saying? They implemented legislation to get rid of it. Guess who saved it? All right. Interesting.
I would just add, this is part of the reason we have a new media seat, to invite new voices into this room. Again, we're going to need to expand this room because so many people are interested, and we're very excited about that. It's a privilege to cover this White House, but we want all voices to be heard. So thanks for being us with here, Chris, and I hope you enjoy the briefing. Sure. Nice. Jordan.
Thanks, Caroline. Data out this morning showed that consumer prices were up across a variety of goods, and just before that report, though, President Trump called for lower interest rates. The Fed said it's holding rates steady to try and tamp down further inflation. So how would lowering rates help keep inflation in check for the American people?
Sure.
Well, actually, let me answer this question for her, because we watched what Trump said about this, right? So Trump basically was like, well, not Trump, but Elon Musk. He said that we're trying to cut down government spending by excess of $1 trillion, right? And so by next year, he feels like they would have cut the overspending by America, Treasury Department, whatever else he decides to do a forensic audit on, right? Because I think Trump said he wanted him to do a forensic audit on the military and things like that. But Elon Musk is saying, essentially, like, if they can do this, right, which they're already doing, like the Department of Government Efficiency on Twitter, just showing you everything that they're saving money on, $20 million here, $50 million here, $30 million here, $12 million. Like, he's literally showing you on Doge, like, everything that he's saving the country money on. So if he can do that, he's saying by next year, you wouldn't have to do quantitative easing, right? Like what the Federal Reserve and Ben Bernanke used to do, right? You wouldn't have to do that. You can just the interest rates would naturally come down, is what he's saying. You know what I mean? So that would be very interesting. He said, in that way, auto loans would go down, buying the price of homes, like in terms of the interest rates on homes will go down, and then when businesses have to do loans to do different things like with their businesses, that would be decreased. So there, a lot of expenditures and stuff would go down for businesses, and then that would be a net effect to where it could help American people and households. So Trump and Elon Musk is looking at doing this the old-fashioned way, right? They're not trying to do quantitative easing or nothing like that. They're just trying to save money. You know what I mean? Because they're saying it's a $36 trillion deficit going on in America, right? So if we got $36 trillion in deficit, we keep going over our budget. Eventually, he said that, this is Elon Musk's words in the Oval Office, he's saying that the United States is going to collapse. You know what I'm saying? If this continues to go on. So I don't know. Shout out to Elon Musk. I like that they're trying to do it the old-fashioned way, save a lot of money. You know what I mean? And so we'll see. But yeah, they addressed this yesterday. So this is amazing. They addressed this yesterday. And then she comes in to hammer it down. Like, yo, I want to hear what she got to say. Let's listen to her.
First of all, on the inflation point, we did receive those numbers, and they were worse than expected, which tells us that the Biden administration indeed left us with a mess to deal with. It's far worse than I think anybody anticipated, because unfortunately the previous administration was not transparent in where the economy truly was. We know people at this very podium told the American people that inflation was transitory and that it would go away. That was not the case. And now the last report of the Biden administration, as revealed today, shows that inflation is still about 4.5% higher over the past 3 months. This is an indictment on the Biden administration's mismanagement of the inflation crisis and their lack of transparency in addressing it. As for tackling inflation and interest rates, the president has made his position on this very clear. He wants interest rates to be lower. He wants inflation to be lower. And he believes that the whole of government economic approach that this administration is taking will result in lower inflation. I have said that from this podium many times. The president had record low interest rates and inflation rates in his first term. He believes that the economy can handle it and withstand it.
Yeah, shout out to y'all. Hit the likes, double tap the screen, all of that. You know what I mean? Let's get these likes up. We on YouTube and TikTok at the same time. Shout out to TikTok.
And we're doing a lot to tackle the inflation effort on this front. It's a whole of government economic approach, and I've talked about what we're doing to tackle inflation quite a few times from this podium.
That's on reciprocal tariffs. That's going to come before Prime Minister Modi's visit tomorrow.
I do believe it will come before the Prime Minister's visit tomorrow, and I will let the President discuss the details on the reciprocal tariff front. But this is something he believes strongly in, and it's very simple logic as to why the President wants to impose reciprocal tariffs. It's the golden rule, which we all learned learned when we were growing up in school. Treat others the way you want to be treated. And far too many.
And so what she's saying is Trump yesterday, when he was signing executive orders and he was talking, he said that, he tried to save the steel industry, and he said he was going to put the 25% tariffs on aluminum and all of that, and explained all of that. But he also said that, hey, if countries, he said a lot of these countries have tariffs on America. And this is what is the dirty little secret that people don't want people to know. So he's saying, like, if you're going to put a 25% tariff on our country, you getting a 25% tariff. Dog life! You know what I'm saying? So, like, I ain't got no problem with that. And he said if they decide, like, okay, well, they're upset that they have a 25% tariff and we don't have one on them, but we give them a 25% tariff to be fair, and they decide to raise their tariff, we automatically raise our tariff to match what they raise their tariffs to. I like that. I ain't mad at that at all. You know what I'm saying? He also did this is a different time. He said some things that was interesting, right? He said, America is a rich country. He said, we're tired of just like giving people billions and billions of dollars and getting nothing in return. He said, if we're going to keep doing that, giving people billions of dollars, it's going to be in the form of a loan, or we want minerals, or we want something. Because remember, there was like a big rumor going on saying that Zelensky was offering Trump like minerals, to continue to receive like aid and support. It was a rumor. That's not a fact. It's rumors going on, right? And so when Trump addressed that, we reacted to the video of Trump addressing billions of dollars continuing to leave out America. He said, this is a business. You know what I'm saying? Like, if we're going to be giving people billions of dollars, we want something in exchange, minerals, or this is going to be a loan. I love that because he's focused on the business aspect, right? What is the business aspect? Making sure we can get down this $36 trillion. And if you're giving money away and printing money, giving it away, and you get nothing in return, what is the point? What's the point? So I like that.
Nations around this world have been ripping off the United States of America for far too long, and that's why the president believes this will be a great policy that will benefit American workers and improve our national security. JJ.
On Doge and the fraud claims, Elon Musk in the Oval yesterday gave us some information on that. We're just wondering if there's some proof, evidence. Is the White House willing to share evidence of those fraud claims, or can Elon Musk come to the briefing room and share material evidence of what he's talking about?
Sure, I would love for Elon Musk to come to the briefing room. That's why we had him go to the Oval Office yesterday, where I think he...
And Inspire said, he's on TikTok, he said, I agree, other countries do it, and it's great. Trump does it for America, and it's the worst thing in the world. I know, right? And that's the funny thing, y'all. Like, it's the people that fight against their own interests, like, is very... It's unsettling to me. It's just like, yo, this dude's trying to save the country, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? Economically, he's trying to fix things. So it's like, why do y'all want to like go against that? Like, it makes no sense. Why do you want? Oh, well, he saved $500 billion, but you ain't gonna get that money. Like, what do y'all be saying? Don't you think, right? Like, if he's saying like he doesn't want no taxes on overtime, he doesn't want any taxes on tips. If he goes to Congress and he has no plan and he just says, oh, we don't want taxes on overtime and tips, you think they're gonna do it? Congress, once they get your money, they're not gonna stop doing it. If you're extorting somebody for money every month, taxes or whatever, you think you're gonna stop that? If you already got access to get money from them, you're not gonna stop that. But if he goes to them like, all right, so within a year, we've saved the American government this much money. We're not spending out. We can afford for the people that are having to survive off of tips. We can afford for them not to have to pay taxes. It makes more sense. We now have a fiscally responsible government. And we need more money to flood into the economy. We don't think overtime taxes is necessary at this point. but he's saving all this money. It ain't gonna do nothing for us. What? Stop thinking short term. Think like a president. I ain't never been a president, thug life, but think like one.
Provided great answers. He was speaking in layman's terms, speaking common sense to all of you. And then
you get Elizabeth Warren trying to get going after Elon Musk publicly. Let me show y'all this, bro, because y'all might not have been in here yesterday. Let me show y'all something, bro. Let me show you this lady. Hold up. I think I posted this on my, hold on. This lady wilding. Let me show y'all Elizabeth Warren.
Senator Warren, why are you so afraid of transparency? Why are you bothered by the fact that Elon Musk is attempting to expose all of this fraudulent spending? What is that about? What is the problem here? What is the problem?
What's the problem here, Elizabeth Warren? What's the problem? Why are you so upset that Elon Musk is trying to expose the fraudulent stuff that's going on in the government? I mean, he's got Department of Government Efficiency. Every time they find something, they post it. What's the problem with that? Because you know what? Like, people are starting to see how inefficient the government actually is. And their positions become at risk because you guys have been in power this entire time. All of this has been going on and you ain't do nothing about it. But you know what actually gets like really interesting? When he asks her, how does somebody that makes $200,000 a year have a net worth of $12 million? He's talking to her, Elizabeth Warren. I'm gonna let y'all hear that. Elon Musk actually asked a question on Twitter and we showed it. He said, yeah, I do have a question. And then Elon Musk is saying that he's going to start looking into how these politicians that don't get paid a lot are worth millions of dollars. He said that. We saw him say that. They are panicking.
So Senator Warren, why are you so afraid of transparency? Why are you bothered by the fact that Elon Musk is attempting to expose all of this fraudulent spending? What is that about? What is the problem here? What is the problem with transparency? Do not touch me. Do not touch me. Senator Warren, I just want to answer a question. How did you get a $12 million net worth on a $200,000 salary in Congress?
Thank you.
How did you do that?
Excuse me.
How did you do that?
How did you get a $12 million net worth on a $200,000 salary?
You keep trying to block my camera. We're on a public sidewalk.
Did y'all hear that? And she just walking by. I'm like, you're a peon. You're a little pond. I don't have to talk to you.
$12 million net worth. The problem with transparency. Do not touch me. Do not touch me. Senator Warren, I just want to answer a question. How did you get a $12 million net worth on a $200,000 salary in Congress?
Thank you.
How did you do that?
Excuse me.
How did you do that? You can keep trying to block my camera. We're on a public sidewalk.
Yeah, like the comment section is starting to get it in on YouTube. Yes, that's insane.
Media, but also to Americans at home, but I would say especially to all of you in the media, because I think it's a real fallacy that there's this.
Somebody say, yeah, and she threw an elbow. Look, hold on.
Get off of me. So you don't want to answer that question. What is it about Doge that's such a problem to you? You just elbowed me, Senator. I got that on camera.
Excuse us. Thank you.
So you don't want to
Yo, Senator Warren just hit him with an elbow. Hold up, bro.
answer that question. What is it about Doge that's such a problem to you? You just elbowed me, Senator. I got that on camera.
Excuse us. Thank you.
Transparency is your enemy.
Yeah, transparency is their enemy.
This alleged lack of transparency when it comes to Doge. President Trump and Elon Musk have been incredibly transparent on what Doge is doing. There is an X account with the Doge handle. They are tweeting out what they are doing on a daily basis. They have a website where they are posting the receipts of the contracts that they are reviewing and the payments that they have stopped from going out the door. The secretaries of our departments have stopped from going out the door. And I would also say that before it was Elon Musk making our government efficient transparent and accountable. It was some unnamed bureaucrat that none of you knew. Elon Musk is the richest man in the world. He's also now one of the most highly scrutinized men in the world alongside President Trump because of what he's doing and the access that he is allowing. So there's great transparency. As for the actual receipts, we are happy to provide them, and I actually brought some today because all of you know I love to bring the receipts. We have contracts upon contracts that we can send and provide this information to you.
You know what's crazy? When Donald Trump was talking and he said there are people who had government contracts that the contract was only for 3 months, right? Businesses. They complete the contract, but they never stop payment for the contract. And people have been getting paid for years and accepting the money for years after the contract was already over because the government was so inefficient that they never stopped payment. It's crazy.
Let me be very clear. We are not trying
One
to
thing
hide
that was funny
anything.
though,
We have been
hold on, Elon Musk was like, yo, if we're going to have government, what do you say? If we're going to have corruption, because he was talking about they're finding that they're sending money to terrorist organizations from the Treasury Department. This is what Elon Musk said at the Oval Office, right? So he was like, if we're going to have, corruption going on, at least let it be in America. Because he's talking about when he said that, we was reacting to that. I busted out laughing, bruh. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy how much of our money is just flying out the window.
Incredibly transparent, and we will continue to be. These are screenshots of contracts that Doge found across our government. This is a DEI contract, $36,000
Hey, SHA-7 said, I love this administration.
for U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. That is against the president's policies and his America First agenda. This is a $3.4 million contract, a Council for Inclusive Innovation at the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, Department of Commerce, another DEI contract that Doge identified. I can continue to go through these. Oh, I love this one, $57,000 for climate change in Sri Lanka. What is this doing to continue the interests of the American people? Absolutely nothing. These are the line items across the federal government that Doge is identifying daily. They're moving very fast. There's a lot of paper that we can show you, but we're happy to do it. This administration has been more than transparent about what Doge is doing. And here's one of their tweets that they posted about the mine. I believe this is in Pennsylvania, where the federal employee retirement system is being processed. Did anybody know this was even happening in our country before Elon Musk talked about it in the Oval Office yesterday? A lot of Americans didn't. So we are providing transparency and accessibility on a daily basis when it comes to Doge. And I also have a Doge daily report, if anybody would like it, on all of the things that they are identifying and finding. We're happy to provide this information to you. We're talking about it every single day.
Are all those things you just mentioned fraud, or are they waste, or are they just contrary to the president's policies?
I would argue that all of these things are fraudulent, they are wasteful, and they are an abuse of the American taxpayer's dollar. This is not what the government should be spending money on. It's contrary to the president's priorities and agenda. And again, we can continue to provide you the receipts for all of the fraud, waste, and abuse. And if anybody in here wants to argue that the federal government is not fraudulent in some capacity, be my guest, because I think the American people watching at home would beg to differ.
Caroline.
Mary.
Hey, more on the judges. Does the White House believe the courts have the authority to issue these nationwide injunctions?
We believe that the injunctions that have been issued by these judges have no basis in the law and have no grounds. And we will, again, as the president said very clearly yesterday, comply with these orders. But it is the administration's position that we will ultimately be vindicated. And the president's executive actions that he took were completely within the law. They were constitutional. And we look forward to the day where he can continue to implement his agenda. And I would just add, it's our view that this is the continuation of the weaponization of justice that we have seen against President Trump. He fought it for 2 years on the campaign trail. It won't stop him now. Brian.
Yes. I want to go back to Doge just for a second. Earlier, the subcommittee headed by Chairman Marcia Taylor Greene, her and her staff discovered $2.7 trillion in improper payments to Medicare, Medicaid overseas to people who should not have gotten it. Some of this room might have missed that press conference. Can you elaborate on what the president is thinking at this point?
Well, again, that's another example. There's a very long list of the fraud, waste, and abuse that Doge is identifying on a daily basis. Elon Musk also talked about yesterday about Social Security payments that are going out the door for people who are no longer with us. Unfortunately, I would say that is certainly...
Yeah, Elon Musk said that they were giving the Social Security payments out to people that are 150 years old. And the checks are being cashed. Like, what? So they just never stop paying like people that are no longer with us. And then he showed he didn't show, but he talked about the mine. He actually showed that on Department of Government Efficiency Twitter. Like when a federal employee retires, like they can only process 10,000 retirement applications a month because it's all handled manually. And I think he's saying it's like 2,000 employees that actually do it. You know, it's crazy, bro. It's like so inefficient. It's insane.
Fraud. There's also a lot of contracts they've identified that, just as a hypothetical example, are $1 million, but only 500,000 went out the door. So where's the rest of that cash? And so that's the thing. Those are the things that Doge is working on every single day. And I would just remind everybody in this room, this is what President Trump campaigned on doing. He's delivering on a promise that 77 million people elected him to do. James.
Thank you very much, Caroline. Two foreign policy questions, if I may.
Sure.
First, the statement that was released after this morning's phone calls identified Mr. Witkoff as the special envoy who will be part of the delegation that undertakes to resolve the Russia-Ukraine war.
And then it's IDAF. He said, well, bro, who's using $50 million worth of condoms? Of course, it's a front. It's not a lie. The 50 million went missing. I don't know. All I know is Zelensky, hey, man. Government, you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to say Treasury Department, but the government, you know, he was supposed to get it like, I think like 200 billion or 177 billion. They sent 77 billion and lost 100 billion. I mean, a lot of politicians end up having like high net worths that may not get paid that much a year. So I don't know what is going on, man. And all the American people, like, I'm in America, you know what I'm saying? All we tend to care about is like football. You know what I'm saying? Football, basketball, like stuff like that. So it's easy for them to hide things. And I'm not saying they're doing this, right? But it's easy for them to like embezzle and do stuff like that. Like people don't pay attention, you know, and then all the distraction that goes on in America, like with celebrities and stuff like that. Bro, it's easy to pull one over on American, like, especially if you're a politician.
I had thought that individual was General Kellogg, and so can you clear that up?
Sure, I'd be happy to. As you mentioned, the president in his truth following the phone call with Vladimir Putin.
Tanya said 150 years old. Geez, what supplements are they taking?
Said that he has asked Secretary of State Rubio, the director of the CIA, John Ratcliffe,
remember we reacted, I think it was yesterday, the Marco Rubio talking about USAID, like all of the corruption that's going on in there. Like he just like aired it out, like said everything that was going on. I was just like, wow, Rubio's talking like this, like, and the federal judge don't want to dismantle it. Like what?
National Security Advisor here at the White House, Michael Watts, and Steve Witkoff to lead the negotiations. As for General Keith Kellogg, he remains a critical part of this team in this effort. He's played a tremendous role in getting the negotiations to this point, and he's very much still part of the Trump administration.
The other subject is Iran.
Nicole said, I've been saying that they need to audit the government a long time ago. Okay, so one of the problems that Elon Musk was saying is that there's like no characterization like codes for certain things, so they can't track a lot that's going in like within certain parts of the government to be able to do an appropriate audit, a forensic audit. So, you know, like we got like social security card numbers and stuff like that. Like they can like track like everything that we do, you know what I mean? But when money is going in and out of the certain branches and parts of government, there's no characterization codes for him to be able to really do an audit to see everything that's happening. You know, so that was interesting for him to say that.
I took note of President Trump's comments in his Super Bowl interview with our colleague.
Yeah, G said they have tried to audit it and they have failed every year.
threat bear to the effect that he wants to do a deal with Iran. However, that interview appeared after the supreme leader of Iran, the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, had already ruled out any additional negotiations with the United States. So kind of a two-part question. A, what gives the president any confidence that Iran will come to the table? And B, more fundamentally, why is the president interested in doing a deal with Iran instead of doing everything he can, perhaps short of U.S. military intervention, to try and hasten the end of what many of his own supporters regard as an evil regime?
Well, the president has made it very clear that he will never allow Iran to have nuclear capabilities. That is a red line that he has drawn, and he will not allow that to happen. But you asked why President Trump wants to make a deal. I would remind you, he's the master of the art of the deal. He is America's deal maker in chief. He leads from a position of securing peace through strength. And I think time and time again already, in just 4 weeks, we have seen the president being able to negotiate successful deals with our partners, our adversaries all around this world. The release of Mark Fogle just last night is something that I think speaks to the president's deal-making ability. This is something that the Biden administration allegedly tried to do for 3.5 years. I think you all should go back and ask some of those Biden administration officials what they even tried to do and why weren't they successful, because for 3.5 years, Mark Fogle sat in a Russian prison, and it took President Trump 3 weeks to get him back on American soil. There's nobody better at making deals than Donald Trump. Phil Wegman.
Thank you. Two foreign policy questions. Ukrainian President Zelensky has said after the war that he wants NATO membership or nuclear weapons. We heard Defense Secretary Hegseth say that NATO membership was unrealistic. What's the president's view on the other option, on a nuclear Ukraine?
I have not talked to President Trump about Ukraine's NATO membership or their nuclear capabilities. I would leave it to him to discuss. But I will tell you again that Secretary Rubio and also the Vice President, J.D. Vance, will be meeting directly with President.
Donna Wilkinson said the military, except Marine Corps, has never passed an audit. How do you put in your accounting the hiring of spies, mercenaries, and such? Yeah, exactly.
Zelensky in Munich on Friday, and I'm sure they will provide a readout of that conversation.
And President Trump is not against military spending. Like, he's not. He just wants to see like what is going on, like what spending is absolutely necessary. So, we got to spend money on defense. You know what I mean? Like they do keep us safe. But, if we're spending like $10 million on somebody to oversee straws. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of like, just it depends on what it is. Like, if it's for jets and missiles and fuel and stuff, like, that's different.
Discussion.
And then the second question, given that this administration has called on Europe to take, more responsibility for their own defense, I'm wondering, will the EU or any other European nation other than Ukraine be involved in these peace talks?
I don't have any European nations who are involved currently to read out for you. Certainly, the president has deployed a very strong team to continue these negotiations. And the fact that he was on the phone with both President Putin and President Zelensky today shows that he's very much involved in this effort as well.
And then just a follow-up, I guess. Sure. Should we expect the president to negotiate in person with Zelensky and Putin?
I don't have anything to read out on that for you today. Maggie, good to see you.
Thanks for taking the question. You talked about the transparency with Doge and Elon Musk's press availability yesterday. There is a conflict of interest law in place that says that people who have personal interests can't interact with government entities that could touch on those. Has President Trump signed a waiver for Elon Musk? Does such a thing exist? If it does, will you guys release it in the interest of transparency that he's committed to?
I have not seen the law that you are referring to. What I can tell you is that Elon Musk, as I've confirmed before, is a special government employee. He is filing the proper financial disclosure, and he is complying with all applicable federal laws. As you also heard, Elon addressed this directly yesterday in the alleged conflict of interest, and he said everything he's doing is very public, and if you all perceive a conflict of interest, you're welcome to bring that up. And as the president said if he feels like Elon is engaging in something that's a conflict of interest, he will tell Elon not to do that. And Elon also said yesterday that before he moves forward with anything, he consults with the president of the United States. So we're very confident with the ethics and the guardrails that have been put in place here. Caitlin.
Thanks, Caroline. I have a few things for you, but on the commitment by President Trump, he said that he and President Putin agreed to visit each other's respective nations. Are there any preconditions that President Trump has that President Putin must do before he goes and meets with him, withdrawing some forces, withdrawing all forces, anything like that?
Not that I'm aware of. That doesn't mean they don't exist, but I was just talking with the president in our national security team. I wasn't made aware of any conditions, but if they exist, I'm happy to provide those.
And on the president himself, he styles himself as this master negotiator. He is now deploying these negotiations, saying that they start immediately. We did hear from the Defense Secretary, Pete Hegseth, today saying that NATO membership is not realistic for Ukraine, and neither is returning to pre-2014 borders. Aren't they giving away bargaining chips before these negotiations have even started?
Again, I haven't talked to the president about Ukraine's NATO membership, and he appointed several individuals to negotiate on his behalf. He's directly involved in these negotiations as well, and I'm sure if you ask him that question in the near future, when you're able to, he'll give you an answer. I just don't want to get ahead of him on it.
And final thing for you, which White House official made the decision to bar the AP reporter from the Oval Office and the diplomatic reception room last night?
Well, first of all, let me just set the record straight. It is a privilege to cover this White House. It's a privilege to be the White House press secretary. And nobody has the right to go into the Oval Office and ask the President of the United States questions. That's an invitation that is given. And there are hundreds of outlets on this campus. Many of you in this room who don't have the privilege of being part of that pool every single day and getting to ask the president questions. We reserve the right to decide who gets to go into the Oval Office, and you all have credentials to be here, including the Associated Press, who is in this briefing room today.
But isn't it retaliatory in nature is the argument, because the reason that the AP was barred, which they said was because they're not using the phrase Gulf of America, they're using Gulf of Mexico in line with their standards. And so the question here is this setting a precedent that this White House will retaliate against reporters who don't use the language that you guys believe reporters should use? And how does that align with the First Amendment commitment that you were just talking about?
I was very upfront in my briefing on day one that if we feel that there are lies being pushed by outlets in this room, we are going to hold those lies accountable. And it is a fact that the body of water off the coast of Louisiana is called the Gulf of America. And I'm not sure why news outlets...
It's called the Gulf of America.
Don't want to call it that, but that is what it is. The Secretary of Interior has made that the official designation in the Geographical Identification Name Server, and Apple has recognized that, Google has recognized that, pretty much every other outlet in this room has recognized that body of water as the Gulf of America, and it's very important to this administration that we get that right, not just for people here at home, but also for the rest of the world. Sure.
Thank you, Caroline. The prisoner exchange with Russia coming at the same time as the president is now announcing negotiations to end the war in Ukraine. The timing of that is hard to ignore. Was Ukraine discussed as part of this prisoner swap?
I was not involved in those discussions, so I can't comment on whether that came up or not. What I can say is that this was a very good deal for the United States of America and for the rest of the world. As you know, we have confirmed that the Russian who will be returning home very soon, Alexander Vinnik, was a non-violent crypto criminal, and as part of this exchange, he has forfeited more than $100 million that he obtained in that illegal crime. And in exchange, of course, we got Mark Fogle, who is a middle school teacher who kissed the American soil, but kissed the ground last night when he returned to the United States of America. It was a great deal and a great day for our country, and I think everybody, regardless of political affiliation, agrees with that.
And was Russia made aware ahead of time of the parameters that the administration and Secretary Hegseth was going to be announcing today?
The NATO parameters? Yes. I'm not sure. You'd have to ask Secretary Hegseth in the Defense Department on that, since he announced them. Jackie.
Thank you, Caroline. Just to be clear, so when we're listening for a shift in position on U.S. policy, should we only listen to the president and maybe not the Secretary of Defense? Because what he outlined today would represent a shift in U.S. policy.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I speak for the President of the United States behind this podium, and I will let him discuss that.
Can you tell us any more about the next hostage releases? I understand another American's coming out today.
Sure. I'm glad you asked. It speaks to President Trump's deal-making ability, and we can confirm the safe release of one American and two individuals from Belarus, one of whom worked for Radio Liberty. Out of respect for the privacy of these individuals, their request, we have no further details to announce on their identities, but we can confirm that one American was released today, and it's a remarkable victory on the heels of Mark Fogle returning to America last night.
Anything on who
Shout out to Dandy.
the U.S. might be releasing in exchange?
I don't have details on that at this moment.
Anyone in exchange?
I don't have details on that at this moment. I do know that these three individuals have been released and are on their way home to their respective countries. Ouija.
Caroline, thank you so much. Can you explain how President Trump envisions the war in Russia and Ukraine coming to an end? Does he expect Ukraine to hand over all the territory in question?
Again, these negotiations are ongoing. I will allow the president to divulge any red lines that he may set, but I think as deals in the past have come to fruition, the president has proven one of the things that makes him a very effective negotiator is not revealing what he's anticipating from both sides, but he is at the forefront of these negotiations in addition.
Man, you need somebody like this in your corner. Like, you do. Like, she is steadfast on the mission. Let's get the briefing information out to the public. Defend president at all costs. You need somebody like this, man.
To the very qualified individuals who he's tasked with speaking to both President Putin and President Zelensky.
And speaking of deals, a meeting with the President of the United States offers any foreign leader credibility. Was it part of the prisoner swap with Fogle that President Trump agreed to meet with Putin?
Again, I was already asked this question. I said I was not made aware of that, but we can certainly get you an answer on that. I'll check in with the NSC. Sure, Monica.
Thanks, Caroline. It's clear that this administration is dedicated to both truth and transparency. We know that with Doge, but we also know that because
She's doing a good job, Courtney.
this administration recently announced it's going to declassify the assassinations of Martin Luther King Jr., JFK, and RFK. I'm wondering, is it likely that we're going to see more information regarding the assassination attempts on the president's life while he was on
Very good question. Very good question.
the campaign trail?
In regards to the assassination of the individuals you mentioned, President Trump signed that executive order directing the respective agencies to do it. I know that that process continues and is ongoing. He's committed to transparency in the declassification of these very important files that I think many Americans are not only interested in learning about, but also have the right to know about. As for the two heinous assassination attempts on the president's life, he's spoken to this publicly. I've spoken to him about it privately. And, as he said publicly to all of you, he feels he has a right to know about further information about the individuals who tried to kill him, tried to take his life. And so if and when we get that information, I'll leave it up to the president to decide whether or not he would like to reveal it. But I believe in the effort of transparency that we've seen consistently from this president, he certainly will. Daniel.
Thanks, Caroline. I wanted to ask you about the $59 million that FEMA sent to New York City migrant hotels. Secretary Kristi Noem just put out a statement saying that she clawed back the full payment that FEMA activists unilaterally gave to NYC migrant hotels. She wrote, "Mark my words, there will not be a single penny spent that goes..."
Why she look like a president? She up there handling business. They gonna put her in some kind of position, bro. Like, if she can keep rolling like this, bro, they gonna do something with her. They gonna be like, yo, that White House press secretary knew what was up. She did good. We need to put her in a better position.
Goes against the interest and safety of the American people. What does the response of the Trump administration send to any federal bureaucrats that are thinking about obstructing the president's agenda?
They will be held accountable. The president is signing executive orders daily, and he expects all officials across the administration, regardless if they are a political appointee or if they are a career bureaucrat, to adhere to the will of the American people and the 77 million Americans who reelected President Trump. He's here for a reason, and he is focused focused every day on implementing his administration's goals and sending $59 million to a migrant hotel to house illegal immigrants when there are still
That is insane. When Elon Musk was talking about that, like they got like, how many? Would she say like $90 million? I thought it was like 98 million. Hold on.
And he expects all officials across the administration, regardless if they are a political appointee or if they are a career bureaucrat, to adhere to the will of the American people and the 77 million Americans who reelected President Trump. He is here for a reason, and he is focused every day on implementing his administration's goals and sending $59 million to a migrant hotel to house illegal immigrants when there are still people in North Carolina and California who have not received FEMA funding is not something that this administration is going to tolerate. Tiana.
Thank you so much, Caroline. One on New York and one on Russia, please. On New York City Comptroller Brad Lander is accusing Doge of clawing back $80 million that was intended for New York City FEMA funding. Wondering if you've heard about that figure, if that figure is accurate, and why that money was taken back.
I have not heard about that figure. Doge is moving very quickly, but I can get the receipts and gladly send them to you. I know that story is likely of great interest to the New York Post.
Yeah, snap it. Yeah.
And then one on
John.
Russia, please.
Sure.
Is President Trump waiting for a kind of signal or an action from Putin to go to Russia? And would he be willing to go to Ukraine in the future?
I don't have any decisions to make on the president's potential.
I know they got to ask about that. Like, is the president going to go to Ukraine or whatever? But I'm not like interested in us like fighting a proxy war. I'm not interested in that at all, bro. It's costing us way too much money. They need to just go ahead and make a conclusion like in this war, and what is it? Putin and Zelensky actually are both wanting to end the war. So it'd be great if that could happen under Trump. Yo, this dude about to be like the most amazing president ever, bro. Like I've never seen nothing like this before. This many like promises being done in less than a month is insane.
Visit to Russia or any in-person meeting at this time. John.
Caroline, two questions, one on foreign policy, one on domestic policy. Following up on the president's call that he had with President Putin, does the president view Russia, does he view President Putin as an ally, as a partner, as a competitor?
What kind of question is that? Why is he even asking that? Like, the relationship between Putin and Trump is all right. They ain't had no problems. So, like, why are you even asking that, bro?
Or as an adversary?
I believe this nation views Putin and Russia as a great competitor in the region, at times an adversary. But as the president has said as well, he enjoys having good diplomatic relationships with leaders around the world, finding that common ground, also calling them out when they...
Let me show y'all something real quick. The Department of Government Efficiency ended up posting. Okay. I retweeted it, right? So it says, federal employee retirements are processed using paper, by hand, in an old limestone mine in Pennsylvania. 700 plus mine workers operate 230 feet underground to process 10,000 applications per month, which are stored in manila envelopes and cardboarded boxes. This is crazy. The retirement process takes multiple months. That's crazy.
They are wrong in leading from a position of peace through
antiquated
strength. That's the president's greatest strength, and we've seen that again, time and time again.
And then, as you pointed out in your statement regarding the confirmation of Tulsi Gabbard, there was one Republican who voted against the nomination of Tulsi Gabbard. It was Senator Mitch McConnell. Similarly,
does Mitch McConnell even know his name? Of course, Mitch McConnell's going to vote against Tulsi Gabbard.
how does the administration view Senator McConnell? Can he be a partner in the president's legislative agenda? Are you disappointed that he voted against not only Tulsi Gabbard, but also Pete Hegseth to be the defense secretary?
I think we're greatly disappointed in any Republican who chooses willfully to vote against the president's exceptionally qualified cabinet nominees and picks to lead his America First administration. Not a single Democrat swayed from voting against President Biden's nominees, and we We know how many of them turned out. They turned out to be atrocious at their job.
Yo, she's quick-witted.
Leaving America much worse than they were when they took the oath of office. And so I've said it repeatedly from this podium. I addressed it at the beginning of my remarks. We expect all Republicans to vote, to stay tough and strong, vote for President Trump's nominees so we can get to work and continue to work very hard to implement this president's agenda. Sure.
Thank you. Thank you, Caroline. On South Korea is currently in a chaotic situation. How does the President Trump react to the current chaotic situation in South Korea? Secondly, if South Korea need
Yo, she is 27. That's crazy.
help from United States, what role do you think the U.S. will play?
Sure. I haven't spoken to the president about the ongoing situation in South Korea. I would defer you to his previous statements. And I can also see if I can get you something new from the National Security Council, who I'm very confident the officials that are focused on South Korea are on this. I just haven't spoken to them about it, but I'm happy to provide that for you. Yes.
Thank you, Caroline. Does Elon Musk have power of the presidency?
Absolutely not.
Right. I asked that question.
question.
I asked that question because, you know, the Democrats have been hurling insults at Elon Musk, hurling attacks, calling him President Musk. Most recently, Jamie Raskin, the congressman, took it a step further, calling for Musk's impeachment, saying that he somehow usurped the power of the presidency. What's your response?
It's utterly ridiculous. Elon Musk addressed this in the Oval Office yesterday. The president addressed it as well. Elon Musk is serving at the pleasure of the president, just like everybody else on this team. He takes directives directly from the president of the United States. And I think some of the comments that you referred to are nothing more than a failed attempt from the media and from Democrats to try to sow division in this White House. We saw them do it in the first term. We're not going to let them do it in the second term. This is a unified team who is working at the pleasure of the president to do what's right for the American people. I have one more quick housekeeping note before I leave you all today. The president wanted me to share with all of you that he had a wonderful meeting with King Abdullah of Jordan yesterday. They discussed many things, including the Gaza Strip and its future at great length. The king would much prefer that the Palestinians stay in place, with the additional land to be used for new development, which would greatly create jobs at levels never seen before. But the president feels it would be much better and more majestic if these Palestinians could be moved to safer areas. I would just add to that the president remains wholeheartedly committed to seeing peace in the Middle East, and our Arab partners in the region have been tasked with coming up with a peace plan to present to the president. That is ongoing. King Abdullah mentioned that yesterday. He also committed to accepting 2,000 sick children from the Gaza Strip, which the president called a beautiful gesture. So the administration continues to work with our Arab partners in the region. We stand closely with our ally Israel, and the president has presented this big, new, bold idea to secure peace in the Middle East, and he is not going to waver from that. And we look forward to seeing that goal of this administration achieved.
Remember in the 90s, people used to be like, peace to the Middle East.
Well, thank you very much, everybody. And
shout out to you, Caroline. I think that's her name. Shout out to her. She did a really good job. You know what I mean? I got to get up out of here. Let's see how many views we ended up getting on this, y'all. We got some subscribers. Shout out to y'all for subscribing to the channel. I appreciate that. All the people in the comments section. Everybody on TikTok that's been rocking with me, I appreciate y'all. Yo, I didn't even get to what I really want to get to because I got to get ready to go to work. Let me see. 89,000 views. Shout out to y'all. Let's look at some of these comments in here. Christian Medwed, he's a Democrat. He said Mitch McConnell, Republican. Nah, somebody said, I know you said with the bare hands. Somebody said Trump kept his word, which is rare for politicians. Concerned citizen ended up saying Blonde Bomb. She's adding somebody. Mark Topping said Gulf of America Day. That's pretty funny. Gotta give it to Trump. It's a savage. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Donald Trump, man. IRA said Mitch McConnell is a rhino. Yo, Mitch McConnell don't even know where he be at, bro. That's why I'd be like, yo, I might be able to run and get in office or something like that. Y'all just be letting Mitch McConnell don't know what's going on. He don't know his name, nothing. You know? And shout out to Tink. He said got a new subscriber. You know what I'm saying? LJ, he said, shout out to Carolyn. She did a really good job. Shout out to her. Blink Watson said, Kamala would have United States in such better hands right now. What? I know you trolling. Somebody said, oh man, Kamala Harris would be up there like, I grew up in a small town. You know, and just looking at you, be like, yeah, but what you gonna do about this war? And my mom, she had a small business. Kamala, answer this question. Like, you know, y'all want her to run this? But shout out to y'all. We just hit 90,000 views. I appreciate everybody for supporting. Somebody, Courtney H said line. I'm out, y'all. Comment, rate, subscribe. Let me know what y'all think about all the new subscribers, because we got a lot of them today. You know what I'm saying? Make sure y'all watch my uploads when I upload. You know what I mean? Don't be playing. Don't be playing with your boy. You know what I'm saying?